know you all came to see Mark, and we were able to upgrade a little bit. Mark was sick, and so his partner Brian Hill, and I'll let you introduce yourself and your company.
Okay.
Thanks.
So yeah, I know you're disappointed. Mark is probably on his deathbed from the sounds of it. I mean, he sounds awful. But so he asked me to fill in, so I gladly was able to, and I fly out to Houston to do a presentation down there tonight. So a little bit about my background, just so you guys, you know, why I'm up here speaking to you. I come out of law enforcement background. I spent 16 years with the Anoka County Sheriff's Office, which is just a suburb just north of the Twin Cities. 8 of those years I spent on the major crimes division, working on homicides and sex crimes. And in doing that, I also was trained in computer forensics and mainly mobile phone forensics. And I've been fortunate enough to testify at the U.S. Senate for Senator Al Franken on a couple legislative things regarding privacy and technology, of all things. So now that I've switched over to the private sector, I work with Mark, who's also prior law enforcement as well. So we contract with 38 law enforcement agencies across Minnesota doing their digital forensics. So we work homicides, sex crimes, child pornography cases, you name it, theft, assaults. But then we also, on the private sector, also do intellectual property theft, where if you have an employee that leaves to go to a competitor, what information did they take with them? We try and track that kind of stuff down. We also do divorce cases. Mark's big thing when he gives these presentations is, you know, he loves the fact that he did Paul McCartney's divorce on the computers. I don't even know who that guy is, but apparently he's really famous. But, so he's been able, you know, our firm has done stuff like that. We worked on the Denny Hecker investigation, the Tom Petters investigation. So we've been fortunate enough to be involved in a lot of high-profile cases, which gives us some unique experience. We're kind of a one-stop shop. So whenever we give these presentations, we always try to put ourselves in your position. Because we attend a lot of conferences, we go to a lot of conferences to present, we're also there as attendees, and nothing's worse than sitting there and feeling like you wasted your time. Because your time is valuable, just like everybody else's. So we want to make sure you get something out of this. So today we're going to talk about several different things, and we only have 45 minutes, so I'm going to cram about 2 hours worth of material into 45 minutes.
And the video, we'll slow it down. We'll slow it down in the video.
There you go, yeah. Exactly. And I do apologize, my computer, see, tech guys even have problems too. My computer completely went kaput. It was working this morning, I had everything set up. I get here and it won't boot up. It's just a complete cycle, so I don't have to completely start over. But so I put this together real quick. It's going to be the same presentation. It's just not going to be as detailed, which is fine because we only have 45 minutes. So we're going to talk about a hacker named Rescator. You know, hackers always get these cool names like Rescator. I get just Brian. Mark, for some reason, will not let me change my name, and neither will my wife. But I've tried. So you may not have heard of Rescator, but I guarantee you've heard of some of his work. And we'll talk about that. We're then going to talk about a piece of malware called Zeus. This was the malware that breached the White House not too long ago. And we're just going to talk about a case that we were involved with before that happened involving this piece of malware. Then we're going to talk about the dark web and take you on an actual live tour of the dark web, show you exactly what it looks like and why it's used. Then we're going to talk about doxing. And when I started doing these presentations, we talked about law enforcement about this stuff because your information is everywhere out there, and we want to make sure that it's safeguarded. And you know, if somebody's coming after you, why that is important and how you can protect yourself. Then we're going to talk about eye evidence. We call it that because when the iPhone came out in 2007, it completely changed our industry from a privacy standpoint, technology standpoint, because anytime, just like the Internet of Things, which is what we'll finish up with, every time you gain convenience, you give up security, always. And it's trying to find that fine balance. And since the evolution of smartphones, you do everything on those. And we'll talk about that. So, has anyone heard of the Target breach? Nobody? Oh, just check. So, Target, Home Depot, Dairy Queen, Jimmy John's, all of them were breached. All of them had credit card information stolen. All of them had one thing in common. The malware used on all of these data breaches were written by one person. And his name is Rescator, and he operates out of Russia. Okay. So with hackers and Rescator, they're kind of like farmers, okay? In that farmers go out and they have a field, they get that field ready, and they go out and they plant their crop. And then they water it, nurture it, and the crop grows. And then when it's matured, they go out and they harvest that crop. And then once they've done that, they have to take it to a marketplace to sell it. Hackers are the same way. He's written this code, his seeds. He then gets farmers, all the other criminals around the world, to then plant those seeds onto your networks. Once that's done, they sit there and they collect the data. And when they've got enough data, they then go out and they collect it. They harvest it. And then they have to bring it to some place to sell it. And Rescator's done that. He's developed the malware, and he's developed a marketplace for credit cards, specifically. And what he does is he charges $2,000 for these criminals to buy his malware, and says, all right, you've now bought it, you're a good criminal, I trust that you're going to find a target to put it on. They do that, then Rescator collects the data, and he says, hey, for my services, I collect 40%. You get 60. Now, before you scream and holler about that percentage, the reason is because I've developed the marketplace for this. It's the Amazon of credit cards. I mean, it looks pretty simple. And also, I'm also in Russia, which means there's that layer of insulation between me and U.S. law enforcement. So you're going to be doubly protected, and I'm going to make you rich. And I'm also going to get some money as well. So this is what his website looks like. This is just a screenshot. I'm not a fan of screenshots, so I thought we would actually go to his website live and see what it looks like. So I don't know how well you can see that. That's his website live today as it stands. So as you see, you can get credit cards from every country imaginable, except one. There is no Russia. I know it's kind of hard to see, I apologize. But there's no Russia listed because he doesn't, where he eats. They keep him safe, and he doesn't do anything in his backyard. So, which kind of tells you maybe, he's government affiliated, we're not sure. But the other problem he has is he can never leave Russia. So I'm sure there's major corporations that would like to go after him.
So do people know exactly what he looks like?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's got a whole Carbatic gang is the group that kind of the mafia style that they run under. Yep.
Who has access to this website?
Anybody that wants to.
Oh, this is a public website?
Yeah. Well, on the dark web.
Pardon me?
On the dark web, which we'll talk about. You can get Visa, MasterCard, American Express, any kind of credit card you want. You can go black, business, corporate, you name it. Every bank imaginable is listed. And we can scroll, it'll probably take another half hour to scroll through all the banks. Every bank I've looked for is on there. The Pentagon Credit Union, the Air Force Credit Union, you name it. The White House Credit Unions, they're all on it. All of them have been victimized in some way, shape, or form. So every state, if we go to Wisconsin, and I pulled up Hudson just to kind of see how many credit cards in a town of, what's the population here, 12,000, something like that? So population 12,000, let's see how many credit cards are available today for sale. There's about 50 to a page. 50 or 60, and there's 33 pages. I'm not that good at math, that's a lot for a small town. 12,000 people.
So these are human beings that live in Hudson whose credit cards are now being sold on the dark web.
Correct.
How old's the data?
It all depends. So that's the other thing. So he puts on here, you can get them, it's hard to read, $14, $2, 50 cents, and then he puts a valid rate, 30%, 40%, 50%, or there's no valid rate, which means, because what he does, he has great customer service because he can't advertise. He needs referrals. So therefore, he says, if you buy a credit card from me and it's not good, I will replace it with 2 more. And he doesn't give you a credit card. He gives you the data that you, the criminal, because you have the means, well then you just have to imprint it onto a card. That's it. You just transfer that data to a card. And that's why you can even break it down. Depending on what kind of card stock you have, it allows you to do the last 4 digits, to search by that, and then also the expiration date. So if you have a cash register, a teller that's doing their job, and they take your card and they look at the screen, the only thing they see are the last 4 digits and the expiration date. So when they look at that, if they're doing their job, they want those to match. And that's why a lot of these guys will typically do online shopping and gas stations.
That was my question. So it's online, I mean, it's not only physical cards they create, but it's online as well.
Correct. They get that data and they can go online, do online purchases. That's why the biggest question asked is, well, what about the chips? Chips are supposed to save us. Well, what is it? 70% of the retailers out there, half the time we go to go use it, they don't have them. You have to swipe anyway. Or you have to hand it to them and then they take it someplace, which, they're going to get that data. All they need is the card numbers, that code on the back, and they can make online purchases. So, but why would you want city and state? Well, if I'm a criminal and I live in Miami and I steal your credit card, you live here in Hudson, criminals, for whatever reason, they always go to Walmart and they always buy big screen TVs. Always. Without fail. So they take your credit card.
Is the opposite true? Anybody that buys a big screen TV is a criminal?
You never know. But every search warrant I've ever went on, it can be the cheapest house, cheapest apartment, they always got a TV bigger than the wall. Always. So they live in Miami, they go buy this big screen TV. Your credit card company's gotten very good at fraud detection. So they say, wait a minute, you were just at the local Starbucks, local Caribou, you got gas, some coffee, and then 5 minutes later you're in Miami buying a TV from Walmart. So they immediately call you. So if I'm a criminal living in Miami, I want credit cards from Miami. If I live in Hudson, I want credit cards from Hudson. And they test them out. They'll go to gas stations, make sure the card works. Less risk for them because they're not dealing with human beings. They're just putting it into the machine. Buy $5 worth of gas, whatever it is. If it works, now they go and make some bigger purchases until they can't anymore. So, and they have all sorts of data breaches. And we won't get into all of them. I mean, 'cause the screen's hard to see, so I apologize. These are all data breaches. Each one represents a different data breach. So we have American Sanctions, Beaver Cage and Eagle Claw we know is the target data breach. American Sanctions is Home Depot. He likes to be funny with some of his names. Again, it's hard to read, but he's got Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's Sally Beauty Supply. Jackie Chan, that's P.F. Chang's restaurant. So it tries to be a little bit funny, but American Sanctions is the last one we really know about. And that's right here. And you can see how far that scroll bar is right here. This is the last data breach we know about. And you can see how high it goes up. We don't know about any of those data breaches. Now granted, those data breaches are all around the world. They're not just US. But there's still, that's a lot of unknown data breaches with credit cards sitting out there.
How much would chips help if the technology was distributed?
It's only going to help for a little while, because eventually they find a way.
Of course.
And again, it doesn't solve the problem of buying stuff on the internet.
Why doesn't someone go in and hack his system?
Because if it was that easy, I'm sure somebody would have. But he's got we believe that he's possibly government backed, which means he's got a lot of resources. Because he's still out there, he's still writing these, the codes to do all of this.
Well, he's probably responsible for what happened maybe in the election.
Could be. None of that's been really traced back to an individual or to a group, but I know he's making a lot of money doing credit cards. This is just one of his sites. He's got several other ones up and running. So. Real quick, we'll talk about, this is the malware I was talking about. So we received a call from a local nonprofit group who said, hey, we just had our bookkeeper steal almost $1 million from us. Okay, well, how do you know that? Well, she's our bookkeeper. She's the only one that has access to our accounts, and we had $952,000 wired to a bank in Romania. Okay, well, that doesn't mean she did it. Well, the bookkeeper has her RSA token, which is the dual factor authentication. It's the gold standard when it comes to dual factor. She's got her token, she's the only one with access, and the money was wired. Oh, and I forgot to mention, she's from Romania. All right, well, that doesn't always mean you're guilty. So let's take a look into it. The bookkeeper says, I didn't do any of this. I came in the morning, I checked the books, 'cause that's my job. I then logged into the bank account, verified everything, I then closed it out, and then I went to the internet, which I know I shouldn't have, but I did, because I went to the internet to look for wedding dresses, because I'm getting married soon. We said, okay, well, we need the computer, we want to, look at all that. Everything is consistent. We see her logging into the bank account, we see her looking at wedding dresses, we see her close out. She then says she went and took a break. So with malware, when we did the analysis, we noticed the malware right away. And with your typical malware does two things. It does screenshots, and it's a keylogger as well. So it's capturing all of that data with your typical malware. This one did a third thing that we've never seen before. I don't have many cliffhangers, so we'll leave you at that for a little bit to think about what the third thing might be. But how did it get on our system? That's what we wanted to discover. So we figured out the origins, and it was a simple phishing email that was sent out to get her to click on a link. She doesn't pay attention, that's not addressed to her, just that, hey, don't be a victim, there's counterfeit checks going around. Click on this link. It's okay because it's HTTPS, which means it's secure, and it's going to FDIC.gov. But she doesn't take the time to look at what she's clicking on. And she clicks on that link, which brings her out to a completely fictitious site. And he's nice enough to put it in a folder called check fraud, at least. So, if he ever goes onto his system, what do they do with that, that malware for check fraud? So there it is. So she clicks on the link, downloads the malware, and starts to, do its work. That third thing I was talking about, again, keylogger, screen capture, and the third thing that we've never seen before, when she went to close her secured RSA certified browser through the bank account, it closed it on her screen, but in the background it kept it open. It's not supposed to work that way. Malware just doesn't do that. In this case, it did. Basically, it sends a signal home saying, I have an open, secured browser. Would you like me to keep it open? Guy on the other end says, well, of course I do. And he goes shopping. Transfers the $900,000 to the bank in Romania. So then we called the FBI. The FBI come, we go back and forth on the phone. Mark does, saying, hey, this is what it's doing. Nope, impossible. You're crazy. It doesn't do that. Well, get in your government-issued car, drive over here, let me show you. Sure enough, he does that. He immediately gets on the phone with his supervisors, who then call the Romanian authorities. I didn't even know they had authorities in Romania, but apparently they do. And so the Romanian authorities then go to the bank, and they talk to the bank manager. The bank manager says, well, yeah, we have these three, scruffy-looking guys that are really mean, and they demanded I transfer this money to all these different accounts, trying to get rid of it before the bank can seize it. And he goes, I advised the guy, I think he was their leader because he was right up in my face. I advised them that I can't do any bank transfers, it's 10 minutes to close. That's our policy. You got to be here at least 2 hours before. The guy then looks at him and says, you will transfer this money if you value your daughter and your wife, if you value their lives. And he even says them, by name. And the bank manager's thinking to himself, well, how does he know my family's name? My guess is social media, because everyone puts everything out there. But he's scared, so he goes, I didn't know what else to do, I went and did the wire transfer. And when I came in this morning, though, I must have been so nervous, and I misplaced a couple of numbers. I got them wrong, so the wire did not go through. I then notified the customer, saying, hey, the wire didn't go through, you need to come back up here. So they're actually on their way back to the bank right now. Would you like me to point them out for you? Of course we would. So sure enough, he does, and they get apprehended. So it makes a little bit of news. And when I think of hackers, this is the hacker. When I think of hackers, I always think of a 17-year-old living in mom's basement, drinking Red Bull and Mountain Dew, right? So I know when I was, living at home, that's what I did. But this guy, is definitely not 17 years old. He's got to be at least 25, 26. But he does not look like your typical hacker. That's because he's not. He's actually a Ukrainian general. He's the guy on the far right wearing the hat. So this brought, you know, malware on an international level, and this kind of stuff can happen to you or I. If it happened to someone you know, she would immediately, there's not a jury, if I was on the jury, there's not a jury in this country that would not have convicted this bookkeeper because she's Romanian. The money went to Romania. She had everything stacked up against her. She had an RSA token. You know, it would have been easy for a jury to convict. Very easy, especially once you explain how RSA tokens work. And she ended up quitting the job because she didn't like the fact that she was being accused. And even though we were able to prove that she didn't do it, we still never got invited to her wedding. Oh. The dark web. How many people have heard of the dark web? Just about everybody. Okay. How many people are on the dark web? Okay. Dark web, used by governments and criminals. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, if you use the dark web, yet you're a criminal, but all criminals use the dark web. And governments, which I guess can be lumped into the same category. But we're seeing a lot of stuff go to the dark web. They say that, you know, where you and I live, they say that Google only indexes about 16 to 18% of the internet. The rest is uncharted territory. The dark web, which is run on what's called the onion router, which the reason it's called that, you got to think of it as an onion. An onion has many different layers. So does the onion. Anytime you access a website on the onion router, you're going through several different, it's stripping information. You're going through 3 different proxy servers at a minimum of 3, and it can be up to 5. And what the onion router was designed for was for the government, specifically the US Navy funded this project so that their operatives could talk in secret. They could communicate without being detected. And it does help a lot of countries that have a lot of limitations on what they're allowed to do, especially social media or internet access. They can use the dark web, and then it allows them to, you know, partake in some of the stuff that we take for granted. But we're seeing a lot of criminals go to the dark web, specifically child pornography is now transferring to the dark web, unfortunately. So it's being very, very hard to trace this stuff. But rather than talk about it, we'll quick take 5 minutes and we will look at what the dark web looks like. So again, I apologize that it's hard to read, but this is one website on the dark web, and even if you could read the this website, you would never be able to read the URL because it's all a bunch of numbers and letters that make no sense. That's how the dark web also works. It's completely anonymous. And if you click on this little onion up here, again, it'll be hard to read, but you can read it. So this is showing you that I'm accessing the onion site. I go to Germany, France, Norway, and then I hit the browser. So if I were to look up my IP right now, it's going to show that I'm in Norway. So whatever I do is going to trace back to Norway. If they go to that router and try and see what I was doing, that router is going to point them to France if they can get enough information. And then that router, if they get information off of it, it's going to point to Germany, and who knows where I was at that point. So, because when you go out to the actual internet, the websites are always gathering information about you. What computer you're using, your IP address, which tells them where you're at, how much memory you're running, what operating systems. They use all that for marketing purposes. When you go out here, they get none of that information. Each time you hit one of those spots, again, it's stripping all that information that identifies you. All these sites that I'm going to show you came from cases that we worked where we found them on people's computers. This one was a case where this was a child pornographer who was, caught at the border. Airport police bring us his computer saying, hey, he's got child pornography on here. We start looking at it. We find remnants of that he was accessing this site. He said, you need to do another search warrant, but you need to go to his house. They go to his house and they find all sorts of passports in different names. But they're all real. They're not fake. And that's what this site claims to be doing, is that they have somebody on the inside that produces these real passports. And they haven't been able to figure out who that is. But it's there, and these are real. All you do is you supply him with a photo, your height, weight, all your little characteristics, and he gives you a passport in somebody else's name. So it's a real passport, just with your picture on it. That's it. we have sites like this out there, and you and I still have to take off our belt and shoes at the airport. Go figure.
Was Respirator on the dark web, is that where his site is too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. This is another one. This is a UK one. This one we actually got through a divorce case. This was where a gentleman was doing a lot of business in the UK, and he was using these fake passports when he'd go over there because he was opening up bank accounts in different names to hide assets from his wife. So needless to say, he gets to spend some time in prison, and she got all the assets. So you can rent a hacker on the dark web. It's hard to read, but he uses, the thing with hackers is we suck at English. Spell check, you name it, we're allergic to it. So there's all sorts of grammar stuff in here, but he'll do anything, small jobs. He'll hack a Facebook account, hack your email account, whatever it is. And with all these sites on the dark web, and Respirator for that matter, for some reason they don't take credit cards. I don't get it. They take Western Union or what's called Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is just online cryptocurrency. It's just an anonymous form of currency. You can buy it either from legitimate sources, or we've even had cases where they've met up at a hotel room, they give the guy cash, and then he gives them access to a Bitcoin wallet, which then is completely anonymous. Because if I buy it through a bank or a Bitcoin bank, there's going to be some record of that transaction. You're going to see, $1,000 going from my bank account being wired to, this Bitcoin company, which means I have Bitcoin. Or if you buy it at a hotel, which amazingly enough, you go on Craigslist, there's people willing to meet you to buy Bitcoins at hotels, Walmart, parking lots, you name it. It's kind of weird. The People's Drugstore. I mean, these websites read like, normal websites. The heroin we offer comes direct from the importer. No middleman. What does that sound like? I mean, it's crazy. They pride ourselves in offering the best quality, and they even, educate their users on what different grade heroin they have. I worked a lot of drug cases over the years, but never knew the difference between grade 3 and grade 4. Now I do. You can get again, spell check, you can get a quartergram, guessing quartergram. But I've been doing this for a few years, and it's always has a grand opening special. But you can get a sampler pack, you even be nice and throw in the syringes, you name it. You can get stimulants, cocaine, psychedelics. I like this guy. This guy's hilarious. It says, it's hard to read, it says, all region tested, which means it's all these products are tested on themselves. So go figure. So it must be good, right? You can get weed, and we can go on and on. I mean, the sites are endless when it comes to the dark web. They have everything from guns, like we saw, drugs, child pornography. These sites stay up and running. That's why they make, for a good presentation. However, with the majority of the sites, they're up for 5 minutes and they shut them down because they'll meet in a chat room somewhere and say, look, if you're looking to buy this, AK-47, I'll have my site up on this date at this time for 5 minutes. You log in, transfer the Bitcoins, and then he brings the site down. So they're up and down because they're that paranoid. But typically you're never going to find out where these people are operating out of. And they've gotten so good at shipping their products, they'll always ship it on the last possible moment to arrive the very next day, first thing. So that way it's less time it spends in customs for a drug dog to get it. And what they'll do typically, we've seen, is they'll know that, 5 blocks over, the people at that house, they always go to work from 9 to 5. So I'll have it delivered there from 10 to 11, I'll just walk up and grab it. Or I know they're on vacation this week, I'll deliver it there, is how they get away with doing this. We're getting it supplied to them. Okay. So doxing. This is a guy that was convicted of rape, and he went and harassed the judge, the victim's family, the governor, Governor Dayton. And this was him testifying at Capitol, at the Capitol, and I'll let you guess what he was testifying to, or trying to get legalized, rather. So he harassed the local sheriff, Rich Stanek, from Hennepin County, and how he did it when he got his computer, because what he did is he would show up at all their residences and take pictures of their family through their windows and then post it on social media. Basically saying, I'm watching you, I see what you're doing. Well, he shows up at the governor's private residence, not the mansion, the private residence, and didn't realize that he would have security there as well, and was arrested. But in searching his computer, what we find was that he was doing all this by going on white pages. You type in the judge's name up here, and it gives the judge his age, a phone number, address, and then mapped them to the right where his house is. And this was just one site. Doxing is about all of these sites. Every time you sign up for a extended warranty, or you change your utilities, they're selling your information to all these different companies because it's big money to figure out your spending habits. They know what size pants you wear, what size shirts you wear. They keep record of all of that stuff because that's how they send marketing materials to you. So we have a sheet that I'll send out, and I'll make sure to, when I get back to the office, I'll send it over because we keep it updated. There's even a new site that we found on, my wife belongs to Back in the Blue Line. It's a Sport Wives group. And they found that a lot of criminals were going on familytreenow.com, and they were able to get cops' phone numbers, addresses, all their family members' addresses, and so on and so forth. Anyone that you've ever shared a residence with. What's scary though, you can get all of this stuff, but typically you have to pay for it. And criminals are cheap, and they're not going to pay for this stuff. But what Family Tree Now does, it's completely free. You don't have to pay for a thing. That's the scary part. So the sheet that we're going to give out is to opt out. But you have to do it one at a time on all these sites. The process, there's now 12 sites. It takes about an hour. You have to create an email address, and then you want to create one because you don't want to give them any more information than they already have. Just create a fake one at something at Gmail, because they're going to send you a link to verify that you're a real person, and then they'll opt you out. It's a simple process, but you have to repeat it depending on what you're doing. You have to repeat it about every 6 to 8 months. Is the only bad thing. evidence, spyware. This is one of the things I testified for at the U.S. Senate, was because this stuff it's promoted for parents monitoring their children and for companies to monitor their employees. However, these products run so far and deep in the background that they're unnoticeable. Now, if I'm a parent, and trust me, my girls will probably have something like this on their phones, I'm not gonna lie. And they're gonna hate me. But what this does, this runs so far in the background that as soon as you out your kid on something they've done, they're gonna know that it's on it. So what's the point? They should know that it's out there, out in front, operating. Same with employees. This stuff does not. It's not, they advertise it for it. It's designed for, you know, 2 employees. We've seen it where 2 employees are going for a promotion, where the one employee will then install it on their coworker's phone to kind of get a leg up on the, you know, the interview questions or whatever it may be. Or if they plan on leaving the company, they want as much data as they can to take to the new company. The biggest area we see this is intimate partner relationships, boyfriend, girlfriends, husband, wives. They throw this on there so they can monitor where they go, who they're talking to. It's a control factor. But it's super cheap for the most part for what you get, and it's easy to install. We installed it on an iPhone, which everyone, you know, Apple says no, can't happen, but you have to do what's called jailbreaking it, which takes about 15 minutes to have access to a phone. Well, in a significant relationship, you're going to have that kind of access to a phone. Co-workers, a little bit different. If you leave your phone on your desk and go to a meeting, they can grab it, and it takes 15 minutes. If you have an Android, it takes less than 2 minutes. So it's a matter of, hey, can I borrow your phone to make a phone call? And I did a piece for Good Morning America where I did just that live with them, where she had an Android phone, was able to install it while she went to the bathroom and came back. It was that fast. And what you get is, here's an example of an iPhone. So our target phone, every time it makes a phone call, it sends a text message to my phone saying, hey, there's a call detected to this phone number. Okay, well, that's the doctor's office. I don't care about that. Well, the 507 number, who's that? That must be a new number. You can see that those numbers are hyperlinked. What it allows you to do is, when it happens, you click on it, and you're connected to the call live. And you can listen in. And they even have it set up that if you're lazy enough, it'll just record the conversations. So the geo-tracking feature on it is super accurate. You can even set up fences, geo-fences that, you know, if someone gets outside that perimeter, it'll notify you, say, hey, they've just left work for the day, whatever it is. And that way you don't have to sit there and monitor them all the time. They make it, you know, easy, which is the scary part. Because smartphones contain a lot of data. And when you install one of these programs on your phone, if you're not changing your password, if you're leaving it unattended, coworkers are going to know your password because you work side by side with somebody long enough to enter in a 4-digit code. Even though they have the fingerprint now, Apple, the one thing they did was every so often you have to type in that passcode. If it's restarted, you have to enter in the passcode. So it's about changing that up or making it maybe a 6-digit passcode instead, or a passphrase, which again, you lose that convenience factor, but you're going to gain security. All of this is what can be recovered off the phone when I do exams. 13,000 text messages, 280 chats. That's not 280 chats. All that is if me and my wife have an iMessage chat going on for the last 2 years, that counts as one chat out of that 280. So there could be 10,000 messages in that one chat. Emails, videos, photos, all the stuff in red parentheses is all the deleted stuff that we can recover. And again, if you have a phone that's compromised, just like your computer, this is the data that can get out to anybody that wants it. So we're going to skip through some of this stuff really fast. This is keystroke logging hardware. It's just a simple device that's on the back of your computer. When was the last time anyone looked at the back of their computer? Probably not very often. They make them for laptops. When I first started doing these presentations, you had to access the device twice. Once when you put it on the computer, another time when you pull it off. Now they're Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled, so you just have to walk by and collect the data. But we saw this at a couple of law enforcement agencies where officers were doing it to get access to other officers' social media, email, whatever it is, because what it does, when you type it into wellsfargo.com, the next thing you enter in is username and password. So it's going to log all of that and then give you access. So those can hold a ton of data because it's just logging the keystrokes. That's it. And the computer software isn't going to pick it up because it's recognized it as a keyboard. And like I said, they make them for laptops as well. They go in underneath the keypad, and they also make full-on keyboards. So if you ever come into work and have a new keyboard, you might wonder why. Spoofing caller ID. That's where someone can call you with a different caller ID. The reason I talk about it is this is how they attack a lot of celebrities to get their voicemails. Because what they do is, if you don't have a passcode on your voicemail, if I use this and I call your phone number and have it show up, the caller ID as your phone number, it's going to put me directly to your voicemail. And I can listen to all your voicemails if you don't have a passcode set up. Wi-Fi security. How many people are connected to the local Wi-Fi here? A couple people. How many people do when they go to a coffee shop, go to work, any of that stuff? So you click the button, always remember. That's the key in this one. That's fine if you do that, but I have both these devices and they work really well. When we do long presentations, I'll have a coworker sit in the back of the room and then we'll put up photos of people or email that people are sending out, or social media posts. Because what this does, this is what's called a man-in-the-middle attack. So this device, your phone right now, if you remember your home Wi-Fi, it's sending out a signal, hey, I'm looking for home Wi-Fi, constantly. So what this device will do is it picks up on that. It grabs enough information saying, hey, John's phone over here is looking for a Wi-Fi called home. Okay, great. I will make a Wi-Fi called home. Now your device is going to trust it because it's collected enough information to do that. And now when you're connected, you'll automatically connect to it. Anything you do is going to go through my device and then out to the internet. And then when it comes back, it's going to go through me to your device. So I'm the man in the middle. I'm getting all of that data and collecting it all. So that's where the compromise comes in. Very easy to do, and they're only getting smaller and better, unfortunately. So this is where I normally go into a case study, but we do not have time. So Internet of Things, real quick, so we got 5 minutes. Internet of Things, again, everything we own today is connected to the internet. Cars, refrigerators, I was at Best Buy, next one I go, the washer and dryer, connected to the internet. just, I don't know, because when it beeps to go off, people want a text message instead, I guess. I don't know. My wife's not a fan, but your stove, so you can, you know, preheat it before you get home, stuff like that. Or they have the ones that actually will keep it cool and then turn it on, and I don't know, it's crazy. But don't you think there's some vulnerabilities in some of this stuff? Now, I know you guys are in Hudson, just across the border, but in the town I grew up in, Blaine, they had a water tower malfunction, and they blamed it on a power failure. Twice, the residents of Blaine had to boil their water. The whole time, and if I had my original presentation, I had slides of their police report, but I wasn't able to recover those. But they actually had a police report, which, you know, kind of outlines that this was a criminal matter, not a simple power failure. And what was interesting was they redacted this whole police report that talks about who potentially was the suspect, but then even to the point where they recommended charges to the county attorney, but were declined. They reached out to the FBI. They declined to take the case, which means it was more than just a power failure. So how can that happen? Well, a lot of these devices like water towers, water treatment plants, windmills like I'll show you, are all connected to the internet because it's cheaper to pay an engineer at home to monitor the system than it is to have them drive out to wherever it's at all the time to check on the system. So they connect them to the internet. So this is a windmill that we're connected to live. And we called the company up because we don't like to, you know, put people in our presentations until we give them a chance to correct the problem. We called up their IT department saying, hey, you guys have a serious problem, this is something that needs to be fixed. Because we'll do that, we'll do risk assessments periodically, and we were doing something for a company, and we came across this, we're like, hey, this is something you need to do. Nope, we don't have any problems, but I'll talk to my guys, you know, and we'll see, but we don't think there's any issue. Get a call a few days later from their IT guy saying, nope, all my tech guys assure me that we're completely secure. Well, how is that? Well, that's because our windmills are connected to the internet via cellular. So me and Mark were on the call and we waited, because we were waiting for the and part. There was no and, that was it. They're secure because they're connected to the internet via cellular. All right, well now they're part of our presentation. So as we go from left to right, it gets really, you know, it gets more interesting. So we look at the desktop, and like I said, we're connected to it live, and this is just, you know, an output reading, and nowhere when we're connected to it has it asked me for a username or password. Nothing. Maybe look at diagnostics. And then if you'll notice, should be able to see it. See it, how the cursor changes? That means I can interact with this. I have no idea what a boost converter is.
Turn it off.
Or a version mode. I have no idea what this stuff is, but I can sit and click around on it. Just fine. Probably not going to be able to do a whole lot there. So let's hear. Oh, it's got an installer. Because what the installer will allow me to do is allow me to control this windmill. I can move it in any direction I want, which isn't going to cause catastrophic failure, but they have thousands of these connected to the internet. This is just one, and I think this one's actually in Minnesota, if I remember right. They have them all over the country, and I can connect to all of them. Which means if I turn this windmill the opposite direction of the wind, I'm going to reduce its life expectancy from maybe 30 years to 10. Who knows? Now, over time, that's going to be catastrophic to this company, I would think. But if I go to the installer, great. It asks me for a username and password. Awesome. That's what I like to see. If you ever want to see a cool party trick, whenever you know, have friends over and stuff, just grab one of your appliances or, you know, something that you have that's connected to the internet. Always download the manual, and it's fun just to search for keywords. I love doing it. So here they have the installation and operational manual that allows you to download the whole manual. It's a 100 and something page PDF, which I've already downloaded. So here it is, installation manual. So as a party trick, you just kind of search for just words, just random words. I don't know, what should we search for? Password? Why would you do that? Come on. So let's, well, all right. So that's completely random. Let's search for password. Fine. There it is. Log up my username, and there's the password. So, and then once you've downloaded it, It'll give you all the install links of everything you need to operate this windmill. But they're completely secure because they're connected to cellular. They have no worries. And then there's normally another slide that I show, involving a water tower. Unfortunately, because I couldn't get my computer to work, I don't have that link. But there's a town in Georgia that has their water towers connected to the internet the same way. They said they have no vulnerability. We make it part of our presentation because they have 11 water towers connected to the internet, and you can hit a button and it'll drain them all. I don't know what that's going to do. If it would flood the area, knock them out of power, I don't know. But it would be a similar circumstance to what happened to Blaine, where we believe it was a kid messing around who was able to access their system and wreak havoc, not once, but twice. So, and I apologize, I know we went through that really fast, but if you do have any questions or concerns, you can always email me, and if I don't answer you right away, it's not because I'm ignoring you, because I tend to travel a lot, so I'll get my emails periodically, and if I don't answer them right away, they can get buried by 200 to 300 more, but that's why sometimes it's best to call me. But if I don't answer your email, just follow up with another one.
Brian, tell us how a business would interact with your company. What sort of things do you guys do?
We do, like I said, forensics, intellectual property, employee misconduct. We also do risk assessments as well. We'll go out to an organization and do, an overview of the company's infrastructure, take a look at it, see where your vulnerabilities may occur, advise you on what to fix. Once you fix the vulnerabilities, we come back and do what's called a pen test. We would then test to make sure, because when you fix vulnerabilities, you're then going to possibly open up 2 or 3 more. It's kind of like that leaky dam philosophy where you plug one hole, 2 more spring open. And then we always encourage, even if we come in and do it, to always have another party follow up later, not us, somebody else, and you never want your own IT department to do risk assessments, only because they're not necessarily going to identify the flaws in the system that they've designed. So it's always better to have a third party. And then, even then, you don't want the same company doing it over and over again, because they again, may be only looking at the same things. You want a different set of eyes when it comes to cybersecurity.
So most of us here have websites and those sorts of things. There are a few people in the room that are designing things that customers access, databases and that sort of thing. So you come to them and if they hired you and say, here's the risk that you're...
Correct. And that's where, we're trying to be more proactive in going out to companies and doing this beforehand, because otherwise a lot of our work, 80% of our work is all reactive, especially right now it's tax, when it was tax season. We had tons of accounting firms saying, hey, we know we were breached, we don't know how or when, because all of a sudden 12 of our clients had fraudulent tax returns filed. So the only common denominator was them, which means somebody was stealing their data. So then we go in, we identify, yep, here's the breach, here's where it was going, whether it was to Russia or China or wherever. This is the data that was accessed. Now they have to proactively go forward. But now they've already, they got to notify all their customers. The damage is already done. And that's where it's trying to get people to work in up front rather than be reactive, trying to be proactive when it comes to cybersecurity. It's huge, especially if you have any kind of customer data on your systems.
And our firm has sent our clients to Brian Mark's firm, especially when there's an employee issue, a employee who's left the company, and the employer wants to know what information that salesperson or that key employee is taking with them. And they've done a great job for our clients.
On that example, I've heard that a bunch as well. Not to be asking for a quote today, but kind of ballpark how expensive is that? Because if it's kind of a teeth cleaning kind of cost, then hey, it would just be good standard course of action. Somebody left, let's take a snapshot of what's going on. But if it was super expensive, then you probably only want to follow something that maybe looks bad or smells bad or whatever. So kind of just ballparky, where does that kind of
it all depends. It all depends. So if you for us to image a computer and store the data is usually a flat rate. So if you suspect it or it may come up in the future, because we've had IT guys, when somebody leaves the company, their practice is to copy their profile, so to speak. So they capture only what's called the logical data that's there. What you see is what you get. So they'll capture that in case there's any problems later on. Well, forensically, from our standpoint, we don't want what you see is what you get. We want to know, because typically right before somebody leaves the company, they go through and they mass delete everything. Well, if you're only capturing a small amount of data, you're not going to get the whole picture. Because they want to, a lot of companies will see they want to recycle that computer and give it to somebody else. So then what happens is they'll do that. That computer will stay in use for the next 6 months. Well, now they've realized they've had an issue. And they'll say, hey, can you look at this computer for us? Sure, but all the data has been trampled over, whether it's by the IT department or the users that continue to use it. And it's very hard for us then to trace back, okay, what data did they use, what did they take? So if you ever have, an inkling, I would recommend, you have us image the computer, you send us the hard drive, we image it, it's a flat rate depending on the size of the drive, anywhere from $5 to $1,000, something like that, usually. I don't get into the pricing stuff, that'd be our business manager, but I know imaging's a flat rate, and then to retain the data, there's storage fees that go into it, or you just process it out and we send you the image, and then you always have it, is one method. And then for us to do the analysis work later, then that's all determined on what you're looking for, and this is usually an hourly rate based on the quote, based on the data. So it's really hard to give a guesstimate. Now, if it's a risk assessment, that's a completely different process.
Awesome. Any other questions?
What phone do you use?
What phone do I use? Apple. I use an iPhone. But I also have an Android, because I use both because I like to stay up on the technology when it comes to phones. What information can I get off these phones, especially iPhones? But even Android, I'm always getting different Android phones to try them out to make sure, because that's my big specialty, is getting into phones.
So my sister just did work for the Defense Department, just retired from the Army, and she's going to work remotely, and they gave her a new secure cell phone. Would that have extra security beyond the ones that we have?
It's going to, because it's going to have management software on it, is all that is, extra secure. So what it does is they enable the feature that after 10 wrong attempts, it's going to completely, they say wipe the phone, but Apple doesn't wipe the phone, they just take away the credentials to access the data. Is all they do, is why it's fast to wipe an iPhone. That's all it does. That's the only added feature that she's probably got enabled. And they've encrypted the backup, which is another way. So typically how we get access to data on iPhones is if we were able to get the 4-digit passcode, but then with iPhones, you're creating a backup on them, basically. If it's encrypted, we're not going to get that data. You still can, it just takes a long time to do it, unfortunately. So that's the best way to do it.
Warren, thanks for coming up here today, pinch hitting on relatively short notice. In addition to that big check you're going to get, we have this wonderful shark-shaped cutting board for your home enjoyment, and then John will get you a copy of our video and use it however you want.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thank you.